Hi friends, and thank you for joining me. Today with the Winfield Public Library, we're going to be learning about the Philippines. Banig mats are a part of Filipino culture. They are used to sit on and for sleeping. Today we are going to be learning how to create a mat. We will be using paper, unlike the ones that are traditionally used, which would be using palm or things from nature. We're going to be using paper for our purposes. So we're going to actually be doing 3 different mats ourselves. We're going to be doing one with a straight line, one with a wavy zigzag, and then a little bit more complicated one. So we're going to be going through easiest to hardest. So all you're going to need is some paper. If you live close to the Winfield Public Library, you can pick up a craft kit bag. When you see this video, you can go ahead and pick them up while supplies last. And if you don't live close enough, all you need is some paper and some tape for the ends to finish it off, or glue. So let's go ahead and let's learn a little bit more about these Filipino mats. These mats are traditionally hand woven. The usefulness of the mats are an item of domestic necessity, which you can see in the marketplaces when you go through the Philippines. In some of these photos, you can see the inside weaving patterns. Some of the designs are different, some have more colors, some have less. Technically, this is not a textile. Depending on the region in the Philippines, the mat can be made of palm, seagrass leaves, and usually these leaves are dried and then cut into thin strips to be woven into the mats. The leaves can be dyed in strong colors to make beautiful, unique designs. Your base paper for your weaving can be any size. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half. And whichever direction you fold it, we're going to be cutting from our fold. So you can either take a ruler and you can measure out and do straight lines. So you could say every ½ inch, you're going to put a line. And we're going to cut, but we're going to leave about a ½ inch at the top uncut. Or you could decide to do wavy lines or zigzag lines. Or you could do a mixture of all of them. So I'm going to go ahead, on my example, I'm going to do all. It's going to look a little crazy, but that's okay. And you can draw them out before, or you can just cut them if you don't want them to be perfect. So I'm going to do a few straight, measuring a ½ inch. And now I'm going to do some wavy. I am trying to keep them parallel. And now I'll do some zigzag. All right, once I have my lines however I want them, now I can go ahead and take my scissors and carefully cut them. Remember, we're cutting on the fold and we're not going all the way up. We're leaving some space. So now that we're done cutting, we can go ahead and open it up, lay it flat, and now we can begin our weaving. Well, actually, we need to cut our strips first. So you're going to take whatever colorful paper you want, and just make sure we're going to be weaving it the opposite direction that we cut. So we cut this way, so we're going to be weaving this way. So your paper needs to be at least as long, or as wide, not as long. So I have some scrap paper. Some might not be long enough, others are. So we're just going to go ahead. You can either eyeball it, or we can be precise and use a ruler. And it could also be interesting if these were wavy. These don't have to be straight either. Be creative as you're doing this. Think about what kind of patterns you could make. Maybe lay out your patterns before you get started. Do you do red, yellow, red, yellow? Maybe you decorate your strips before you weave them. Could also be an option. So now you're going to go ahead, cut some more strips until you have enough to fill up your page. Now I have all my strips cut. Now you could flip over so you don't have the marker or the pencil that you use showing. I use scratch paper, so I have some marks on. Actually, no, I don't. So I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to be doing over, under, and I'm going to do a pattern with my paper. So we're going under, then over, under, over, and we're going to keep going under, over. In our next one, we'll do a little more complicated pattern. And you can just let the extra hang off. We will glue or tape them when we're done. So there we go, we got the first one. Now we're going to do the opposite. So we started by going under, now we're going to go over. And now go what you did on the first one. And you can do your weaving over. You don't have to do it right next to the one you just did. Give yourself some space and then slide it over. And now that I'm done going through it, I'm sliding it so it's nice and tight to my yellow. And this is my last one in my pattern before I start repeating. So I'm going to be doing what I did here. So it's under, over. And now I'm going to repeat my pattern with my pink. And now you're going to keep on going until it's filled up. So here, now I have it all filled up, and now we get to go ahead and finish it off. So you can decide which one's your front, which side's your back. It doesn't really matter, so it's up to you. And we're just going to put a piece of tape across here, piece of tape across here. And if you want, you could do glue, that's up to you. And we're going to cut away the extra. Now you could do a decorative, like a piece of decorative tape around, or you could do clear. So if you wanted it to look like the tape was purposeful, you could act like it's your border. And you're just going to cut away anything extra. And I'm going to do this to all sides. Now I'm going to cut away the extra. So So here is my finished mat. I like the tape border. I think it does a nice job. It holds everything in place, pretty strong, and it also nice finish as well. But you could do clear tape or you could do glue to finish it off. That's up to you. Now remember, you could just do the straight lines, or you could just do the wavy lines, or you could just do the zigzag. I kind of like the combination of all three. Here's the straight, here's the wavy, here's the zigzag. So I hope you had fun making your mat based on the mats from the Philippines. I think mine came out really good. I do like the straight lines, the curvy lines, and the zigzag, but remember, you could just choose one way and do it that way for the whole thing. So I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you next time. Remember, if you enjoyed making this, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe so you get notified every time the library posts a new video. Bye, friends!